how are you making sense of the coronavirus situation? Is it feeling normal?
I mean, like, I wouldn't say normal. It's, I'm adjusting, I guess, would be the best way to put it. Sort of just, I mean, like I was saying, like with the guitar lessons, it's definitely an adjustment. I'm definitely like getting, getting a little stir crazy because
Yeah,
just like being in the house all the time.
well, yeah, for the past like 3 days, it's been really rainy, which has
Yeah.
helped stay in, but it's also just made it like way more difficult to just be like, what? Oh my gosh, what do I do?
Exactly, man. Yeah. And it's I've even like I've been forcing myself to go run in the rain. Like I was like I'm going crazy. I need to just go. I need to be out of the house.
That's good. It takes some getting used to. I'm trying to figure out what it's going to be like if this is going on for like 3 months. Um, I start.
Yeah, and it's almost like like I feel like a lot of people are like, oh, this is just gonna pass like a blizzard or
Yeah,
something, but like
I wish I could just.
maybe not.
I wish I could just clap my hands and the other side of this, and it's still like I'm not sure how, like when that is. Um, but it just it kind of makes me feel like it makes me think about being in school and like learning about the Great Depression and
Yeah, yeah.
picturing like, oh, what would have been, like, I'm glad I didn't have to live during like those old times. Like it seems like that was just something that would
Those
happen.
old deal with those old
Right.
problems. Yeah,
Happen like in old like it like the whole world was just black and white at, like when the people were living in it. And then
yeah.
I'm trying to process now that my grandma lived during that one and is now old enough to live
In
during.
this one too. Yeah.
And so it just kind of like puts into perspective like life going in cycles and things like that. But anyway, so what what are you doing like musically? Are you like playing a lot of music right now?
I'm mostly I'm confined to my basement here, sort of. I've been mostly just kind of like sitting with myself and my guitar and just kind of writing songs and that kind of stuff. We haven't, really been having rehearsals or anything.
Are you writing just like personal songs right now, or like are they Railslide?
Just whatever comes to me, really. Like I've been working on this one kind of for the past week. Just, I mean, like I have a feeling that kind of after this, after this kind of virus kind of settles down and like, or at least when we can actually go back out and have a society.
Dude, that
I
first
have a feeling that
crazy.
a lot of bands, that have been cooped up writing all these songs, it's all going to be, super relatable.
We played
Um,
so that
what's that?
bands in the street at once, like we're all able to. That's gonna be a really interesting week if this really does last for like, even if it's just a month. I'm really
Yeah.
interested in what happens. See what happens when like we're all able to like see each other again and not.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know if it'll be like because I have a feeling it might just come in waves. It might be like I have a feeling that it'll be like we're all right, we're on lockdown for 2 weeks or whatever, but it's like I don't know that that's actually a long enough time that so I have a feeling that they would probably extend that. Once because once we get 2 weeks through, it's like the virus is still here. It's not like but I have a feeling that over time, like either people will just be like, "Fuck it," like whatever. I'm tired of just staying at home. I'm going out.
And that's what my dad's been saying a lot, and I wonder just at what point that's going to become true if society just starts pushing back and people start going out. But it's really
Yeah,
a matter of.
and I mean, that's when I could see like it, it kind of peaking again, and like more cases start showing up.
Yeah, it's interesting to think through just what like the path of this is going to go, because you could say that if we all did, part of this getting through it is just people are going to get it, they're going to get healthy, and after that people are going to get immune, and at that point it seems like once we're kind of on like the down, like um there like that could lead to a false sense of now we're able to kind of like go back out and that we transmit it more, or does that just become that there's a certain level that people are willing to tolerate? Maybe we're able to like have certain, and there's also just other issues, other things like people trying to get their businesses up and running. Like,
Yeah.
if there's a push to like, can we get more people in a bar? Can we get some more people? Can we get some people at a venue? Can we do something that when to at least like see that come back? And yeah, I'm stumbling a lot just because I don't know what the answers are. We
No,
don't.
I don't think anybody. We don't really know the answers. Is the thing.
And right now I think there's a little bit of like a hush hush. Like I said before, like we can't condone people going outside, and at the same time, at what point is there going to be a pushback where like we all kind of realize in reality it's just not gonna stay that way for
Yeah, and I don't know that it's even really like don't go outside. I feel like it's more like I feel like outside is if you're gonna go anywhere, go outside. It's like you don't want to but it's a weird thing because it's also like it's like people think like, oh, quarantine, that means we need to stay in our room or whatever. It's like, well, I don't really buy into that. I think it's really just like you don't want to be in crowded places and be spreading it like with like crowded places with a bunch of other people. And I don't think that really. I mean, like I feel like it will probably take some time for people to even just be comfortable being in more crowded places, like venues and bars and that kind of thing.
I'm wondering what the long-term effects of that is. Is there a point that CDC says like it's okay to like have like 20 person size gathering, and people are still just like, yeah, we're not sure. We just don't think we can do that.
I have a feeling that people will probably start gathering before it's okay. Like I don't think that
They have been.
I don't think it's gonna be like this like well yeah because they already are right like like I don't think it'll be like the CDC is like, oh, you can gather again, it's safe, and people are gonna be like, I don't know. I feel like it's probably gonna take some time for them to even say something like that. Because they're just gonna. I feel like they're gonna keep gonna. I mean, because like the more people gather, the more this thing could spread. So like.
So I've had and again, everyone don't. We are not experts. Do not like just be able to go. Oh, the people on the Zoom said so. Like, let's do it. But there is an idea. I was talking with my brother the other day, and I was saying like I just don't know that many people who have this. I don't know anyone. And he's like, you probably do. You just don't know that they do. And I said, I actually think, kind of wish we all knew a person that had coronavirus, so that we could like. This is my idea. Like, you contact that person, and you reserve an Airbnb with like 15 people for 3 weeks, and you gather like a bunch of supplies, enough supplies to last 3 weeks, and you just get a cabin in the woods, and you all just get coronavirus for like
everybody get it.
People, like everyone, it's just like, all right, we're just gonna get it. We're just gonna live with it, and we're gonna get it out of our system. And in 3 weeks, it's like if everyone did that for 3 weeks, it's like, all right, we're over this.
Which I mean, I don't know. I don't know what's the right way to do it, or
I don't know either. And it's weird. I was likening this to. I said to my brother, another thing I mentioned was that it feels like it's like a really big Category 2 hurricane that just doesn't move. So because like the disease itself
doesn't move.
like the disease itself doesn't seem like Colin said, it's not like a face eating like thing that just like makes you bleed from the eyes. It's like most people get this,
Yeah.
it's fine. It's just it's the percentage, it's the people, it's the ability to pass it on to the people who don't deal with it fine that we're trying to prevent. And so that's just
Yeah.
what makes this feel like. And he said like that is what makes it severe. Like the fact that it is. Hey, Chance. Um, uh, anyway, the fact that it is putting such, it is taxing our healthcare system so much is just what is making it so severe. It is like it's not nothing. Um,
Oh yeah, definitely.
but that's what makes me think of it more of like a really big Category 2 hurricane that it just doesn't move and it's hitting the entire world at the same time.
Yeah. You know, it's crazy. It's like you made me think of. I watched this movie the other day, Outbreak.
Oh,
Um,
okay. I know this because I watched, there was a, not to cut you off, but there was like
yeah,
there's a series on Netflix now called Pandemic. I'm guessing they're just
yeah. I watched maybe an episode of that. I was like, I'm good.
but they mentioned that movie and I saw it was also on Netflix. So it's just like Netflix is,
Watch it.
we're just going to release all the
It's a great movie. Yeah, no, this is the time to watch all the apocalypse movies and like movies about diseases. And the movie is funny because it's like this disease. It's like they totally overplay it and like or like I mean it's whereas the coronavirus is like kind of like it takes several weeks for you to even experience symptoms. This is like you experience symptoms within like hours of being exposed, and so there'll be like a guy. And it was like, there's like a guy on an airplane. And so of course everybody else got it on the airplane. And he's like, his whole face is like bleeding and like, it's totally like, and then like, he's like, he gets off the airplane and, like, he meets his girlfriend at the airport and of course she gets it like instantly. Like, so it's, and then, everybody's just like ah!
It made me think about doing like some sort of advertising campaign. Either I think I was for, definitely, I would say more against coronavirus, but it's just like in the effort of like the dumb ways to die, but it's just like dumb ways to get corona, and it's just like
Yeah.
it's just like open up the fridge, corona, or like go buy like go to the mailbox, you get corona, like, and it's just like a series of like different dumb ways that you get corona, and like
Yeah.
I was thinking of along the lines like, this is like quarantine hair right now because I don't think it's okay. I don't know if it's safe to get a haircut. And I'm just thinking like, what happens if it's like 3 months from now, and I'm just like, is it still okay to get your haircut? And now it's like, I can't.
Yeah.
I'm having to like poke through my hair like at the bush, and it's like, but it's like you go to get a haircut and it's like you get corona. Like that's how you get corona.
Yeah. But it's funny too. There's like that you say that because I think like I think the CDC actually recommends like, well, I think like facial hair. They're like they're like oh it'll you'll catch more. So they like recommend like shaving your facial hair and like.
Oh no.
So it's like on one hand like you could be like yeah like I went to the barber shop to get corona, but on the other hand you're like oh I have all this hair now. I should have got a haircut so I didn't get corona.
Out of my beard. It's like it's not. It's a force field. It's a shield. I don't.
Yeah.
But anyway, do you think what do you think are some long-term effects of coronavirus? Just lifestyle-wise.
Lifestyle-wise, well. That's a good question. I mean, like, it's sort of just like we've definitely seen the short-term effects to where like you're like, all right, like now I've got to kind of form sort of a different routine, if any, so that because you could very easily just be like, all right, like I'm gonna wake up and like just binge watch Netflix series or whatever. Especially it's like when you don't have to leave the house. It's sort of like that can be very very detrimental actually just because it's like having something to leave the house for, every day. It's like it's a good thing. It keeps you, keeps you occupied. It's good for your mental health and like.
But it makes me think of that John Mulaney. There's a John Mulaney bit where he talks about like how canceling plans for adults is like heroin, where it's just like you had something to do and now you don't, and now it's like it's just like the opposite of kids want to do stuff all day, and grown-ups are just like,
Yeah.
it's like, oh, I have nothing to do. There's nothing to do. This is wonderful. And
Exactly.
I think there's still, so I think there's some of that is happening this week, and why it's like, oh, this is nice. There's just not really a pressure to do anything, and you see so many people like hopping on things like Zoom, because that seems like, oh, we can just talk to each other we can use
Yeah.
for conversation, and that's why I think. But I think in about, I'm really really hoping that, like I'm a sports guy. Um, I'm really hoping that can come back like relatively sooner.
Yeah.
I think that not just because like I'm like a sports camera operator, like that would be great, but just I think that after a certain amount of time, people are just going to be like, we need something that is different, something that brings us back
Yeah.
to like something we're familiar with. And so like my brother was saying he knew someone that worked in baseball marketing, and they're saying like best case it seems like June that it's gonna come back.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I hope that's the case. And then do you think there's any like effects on music?
Oh, most definitely. I mean, like it's sort of like, well, I mean, it's like, and musicians and artists and comedians and who sort of make all of their money, going around and
Playing shows?
playing shows, putting on events. It's like you kind of rely on the gathering of people the most, and it's sort of something like this. It's like, well, it's like, all right, like now all the shows have to get canceled or postponed, or and then it also, like, not only does it affect the artists who are trying to go play the shows and whatnot, and I mean it also affects the venues, anybody that's employed by that venue, bartenders, security, anybody that kind of relies on that work. It's like, well, now it's just not there anymore, and so it's like, we hope that it'll eventually, things will kind of return back to normal, and we can do that again.
Right. I mean, people aren't, entertainment and sports, like those things I think we can be sure are going to come back. What I think is really in trouble, and I read something about this, is restaurants. I think
Yeah.
I read today that a lot of like mom and pop shops that were already kind of being replaced by like
big chains and stuff.
It's like they're going to have a lot harder time coming back from this, and so that probably lends to a larger, more chains like taking the place. So I think that's a big issue. But are there solutions that have you been thinking about, like what's going to happen to the music industry and like entertainment industry in ways that you feel like you as a band member would be able to like facilitate some way of still having the entertainment experience, or even being able to like look out for the venues?
Yeah, well, it's sort of like, in order to, I like, personally, I think there's nothing that really compares to a live show and everybody actually being there, because especially like, as the artist and, and being in the crowd, it's like, you sort of feed off of that energy. And there's like, I've heard a lot of, there's a lot of talk about like, just kind of a big push to just like during this time, it's like you want to focus on your kind of your internet marketing and like you can be there's stuff you can do because there's still like everybody's attention is on social media, the internet, that sort of thing. So there's still a lot that you can do through that. And sort of like kind of like, I mean, for example, kind of where we're at is like we're like, well, we have these songs that we need to finish recording this album. So it's like, in a way, it's like this could depending on how long this goes on for, it's like it still gives us time that we can be working on that. And music videos and stuff like that, you can be putting out stuff like that. But kind of like before, it's like you would want to put out something like that and then have like a live show to go with it. And so just because it's like it gets everybody excited, and it's a great piece of kind of promotional material, like a music video. And and people get excited and they're like, oh, like let's go to the show, like it'll be fun, like and but now it's like all right, what do we do next? It's like like we can put out music videos.
You say that there are ways to work on records and things like that. So like just writing more, or like are there ways that you could be recording and like sending files to everyone else to kind of like be able to try to record like
so I mean, like we can still be doing that, like ideally. It's like kind of as the band, it's like it's pretty difficult to have each of us kind of record separately, like in our own space or whatever, and then send files over. Especially because it's like, well, in the studio, Willis has all this great equipment that we use, and so it's like we kind of would rather just, I mean, we kind of have to go do it over there. It's not like, because I don't have the same gear that he has. He's been doing this for a while and collecting gear, and he's got kind of the whole setup. I'm just sitting here writing songs. That's kind of where I'm at right now with all of it. Is just like you can. Part of the thing, like as a songwriter, is like you take experiences or whatever is going on in the world, and you kind of turn it into something else. You're like, all right, like I can sit down here and like I came up with this riff, and then you kind of get in lyrical like inspiration from just stuff that's going on around you and whatnot. So
well, great. Well, I'm kind of at like the end of things to say here, but one thing I kind of wanted to touch on, and this kind of came up as we were talking about different ways to like incorporate music and what can be done right now, and we were talking about doing some sort of like a music distancing music video, and I'm not sure if that is still like I'm not sure with all of the lockdowns and all of that, like what can really be done with that. But I have had this idea of getting different musicians just kind of doing this, and maybe and if you have songs that you've been playing or been writing, it's kind of like you could go around to like different musicians and like kind of each person like plays something that they've been working on as a of doing kind of like a Zoom concert.
I see what you're saying. And I would do it all on Zoom, like and I could see like you could probably get a lot of good kind of video footage from that. The only thing I would say is like the audio quality, like as we're experiencing now, like with lag or with the it's like, and then you try and play an instrument, it's like, it's just all blown out and you can't really tell what it is. So you'd probably still need like actual like kind of professional audio recordings and stuff to go along with it.
True, but that seems like something that would be really fun if you, and a way to kind of do like just get like talented musicians around, and with content creation kind of being where everyone is like how can we use the technologies that we have to do that kind of stuff, and I think going back to the question of what's going to come out of this time, I think it's going to be a lot of that. I think it's going to be a lot of um, getting really good at using consumer level um, video, audio kind of technologies to like and to create still good like professional work under these circumstances.
Yeah, and it's definitely like, you know, it's kind of the balling on a budget kind of method too, because it's like well, it's like here we are, all these creative people out of work. You know, it's like, all right, we're gonna record this all on Zoom. You know,
Really a testament to the creators themselves, because I think this really kind of goes that right now it's there's we don't have the luxury of great equipment. We have the luxury we have like what's available, but it's
yeah,
but the creators are here, so it's um, so it puts it's putting more emphasis on the content itself, on like what each person is physically writing, thinking, bringing to the table, and presenting that into the and I think the people that continue to do that are going to like when this all does become normalized again and we're on the other side of this, it's like if there's this bubble of people that is creating and turning out like creative stuff, and now we're able to bring that back to a studio and a stage and get everything back. Like those are the people I see opportunity for really good growth for people who do that.
oh, most definitely, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's all I got right now. Is there anything else
Awesome.
you wanna say, or
I think I'm good. Yeah.
well, cool. Thank you, and I'll spend the next couple of days working on guitar and getting ready for next week.
Sure thing, man. Yeah, you want to do like next Wednesday or whenever, really, because we're all free. Yeah.
I have all the day.
All right, cool.
Anyway, thanks, Jake.
All right, man.
Yeah.
Take care.